The biggest guarantee for a life of missed opportunities is procrastination. There are many reasons for procrastination, but studies show that stress is the number one reason. Procrastination is one of the things that we all know we shouldn't do. But the reason we do it is because procrastination in itself is often linked to the stories that we tell ourselves. There are some people that are just lazy. So if you are someone who's lazy, I want you to check out our video on discipline or regret. But for most people, it's not a laziness thing. It's certain stories that we've told ourselves. Maybe you have low confidence in succeeding and you told yourself to expect unpleasant results. Maybe you have task averseness and you told yourself that I've sent out 300 job applications and I didn't get a response, so I'm not in a hurry to continue sending them out. Maybe you have goals and rewards that are too far off into the future. And so you tell yourself, what's the point of finishing this paper? It won't make a difference to whether I graduate in 2 years. Procrastination is often linked to the story that we're telling ourselves. So as I begin, I want you to begin to think, what are some of the stories that I have told myself regarding the things that I need to get done? Whenever we start thinking about procrastination, we need to realize that there is a root to why I am avoiding this situation. Most people stay above ground. And what I mean by that is they are consumed with all of the surface issues. But in life, the faster to the root, the faster to the progression, and the faster to the solution. So while everyone is hanging out above ground, be the person that looks inward and tries to figure out what's actually going on here. So as we're talking about the stories that we tell ourselves concerning procrastination, there are 4 fears that aid in your procrastination. The first one is a fear of not being good enough. Self-doubt is one of the major reasons for procrastination. Have you ever had a challenge in front of you that you genuinely didn't believe that you could take on? I would say that self-confidence or a lack thereof is one of the biggest factors to whether or not we are a success in life. And there are so many times that we don't accomplish things simply because we don't believe that we can. I heard a story about a person that was a phenomenal cook. And this person was such a great cook that everyone said, hey, you need to put your recipes in a book and sell them because this stuff that you're doing is good stuff. So you need to gather those recipes and sell them. And the person kept saying, all right, well, I'll get around to it. And the person ended up dying before they put a single recipe in a book. And the reason the person never put a recipe in the book is because he convinced himself that what he did was not enough. And he convinced himself that what he did isn't special. And it's very easy to follow into the mindset of I'm just me. And so when news broke out that the person had passed, questions started to go around. Hey, did they ever do that cookbook? Nope, never got around to doing the cookbook. He took that with him. What is it that you are going to put off? What is it that you could potentially pass away? And people will say they took that with them. I love what Miles Monroe says. Miles Monroe says that part of our purpose is to rob the cemetery of our hopes and our dreams, and to make sure that when we leave here, we don't take anything with us. But one of the things that I've noticed in my own life is that the antidote to fear, the way to build courage, is to simply start the thing that you've been running from the entire time. The second fear that aids your procrastination is fear of making a mistake or doing something incorrectly. Making a mistake does not make you special. Now, clearly you want to minimize them. We don't want to go through life just making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. I get it. But you also don't want to be afraid of them. Because the truth is, each mistake, if used properly, can be leveraged towards forward movement. Some of your greatest mistakes can be your greatest assets because there is humility built, there's character built, and there's knowledge and understanding gained that can be applied to a greater future. One of my favorite quotes came from Meg Whitman. And Meg Whitman said that the price of inaction is greater than the cost of making a mistake. So if you're listening to me and you're avoiding doing something because you're afraid of making a mistake, I need you to realize inaction always costs you something. And it often costs you more than what the potential mistake would have cost you in the first place. Every time we take on something in life, there is that risk of failure. Now, many are so focused on calculated risk, and to take a calculated risk is a smart decision. But sometimes you have to take a step out on faith risk. Sometimes you have to, like Les Brown says, leap and then grow your wings on the way down. And the main thing to remember is that in life, to gain big rewards, you must take big risks. And if you fail or if you make a mistake, so what? So what? Mistakes and failures are stepping stones to you becoming who you're supposed to become. When it comes to taking risks, we have to ask ourselves the right questions. When it comes to the things that you're avoiding, you must ask yourself the right questions. Questions like, will I sleep better at night knowing that I allowed fear and self-doubt to keep me from all of the good that life potentially had for me? Or will I sleep better knowing that I am steadily moving in the right direction? Will I sleep better knowing that I am perfectly imperfect, but I'm still moving because the cost of inaction is greater than the cost of me making a mistake? I want you to hear me. Life will never reward inaction. It is impossible for you to be inactive and win. Life rewards persistence, not inaction. And I know you're afraid of making a mistake, but I once heard somebody say anything worth doing is worth doing bad, because at least you'll gain the knowledge, at least you'll gain experience, and at least you're being active as opposed to being inactive. The third fear that aids your procrastination is a fear of judgment and criticism from others. I always like to say the majority of people are thinking about themselves, and they're thinking about their own insecurities, and they're thinking about the things that they have to accomplish. People are naturally self-centered. But for those that are thinking about you, who cares? The more you live, the more you realize that there are certain people that you will never be able to please. You don't have a job, so then they're going to start saying, you really need to stop bumming and figure out what you're going to do with your life. Well, I'm going to start my own business. Why you want to start your own business? Always remember that those that judge and criticize, and I'm not talking about constructive criticism. You know the type of criticism I'm talking about. Those that judge or criticize are always denying something about themselves. Most people judge what you're doing because of jealousy. They judge what you're doing really because they wish that they had enough courage and they didn't have so many insecurities that was holding them back from doing something like that in their own life. So being that it's not even about you in the first place, we need to become free from people and focus on winning. Because if we're going to win in life, we cannot be consumed with what others are thinking or what others are doing. And the way you become free from people is to make it a practice not to live by their praises or their criticisms. Because if I do not live by the praises of men, it's harder for me to die by their criticisms. Then you get to the point where it's like, hey man, you're free to think what you think. I don't care. Do you? The fourth fear that actually aids your procrastination is a fear of living up to your potential. And this fear is for the person that has become very comfortable in the known. And if that's you, I have to tell you that your potential, your gift, is your assigned seat in life. It is designed for you. It is a spot that nobody else can fill because it was divinely orchestrated for you to fill it. So will you sit in your power? Will you sit in your potential? Will you tell yourself that, hey, I am supposed to be here and I'm going to walk in my gift? Or will you allow the seat of your potential and your purpose to remain empty? How long will you allow your gift to collect dust on the shelf? How long are you going to allow it to collect dust? The truth is, the hourglass of your life has been flipped over. And every second counts. And one of the things that we have to know is that our gifts are not about us. Our gifts are about the people that we are here to serve. And ultimately, there are people that are assigned to you doing what you're supposed to be doing. There are people that are assigned to you using that gift that is within you. And if you have the courage to sit in your assigned seat, someone's life will be changed for the better. Someone will be inspired. Someone will continue, and someone will go after their own dreams because you sat in your assigned seat, because you used the gift that is within you. We are here to serve. And we have to push beyond this fear, because service in any capacity, it is the formula for success. It's the formula for happiness. And it's the formula for us feeling fulfilled. 3 things that I want you to consider as you work through your journey of becoming a more active person. The very first one is have an accountability partner. Who you choose to do life with matters. If you wouldn't trust the people in your inner circle to pack your parachute, why are you spending so much time with them? If the people you're around wouldn't pass the parachute test, it's time to reevaluate those relationships. Our circle is often underutilized. Are you choosing relationships based on this person makes me better? Are you choosing relationships and friend groups based on the fact that when I'm here, I feel inspired to grow and thrive? Or are you just choosing it based on we work together, we're drinking buddies? Accountability partners keep you on track and provide you with motivation. Another thing I want you to consider, if you're struggling with procrastination, is positive reinforcement. A lot of times, and I mentioned this in the beginning, but the reward is too far off. So go ahead and give yourself little rewards along the way. Go ahead and give yourself a little positive reinforcement that will encourage you to move towards whatever the task is. Okay, once I do this, I'm going to reward myself with this. The reward can often encourage you towards action. And the last thing I want you to consider is letting go of perfectionism. Because I've done a lot of talking about using your gift because it's something that I'm passionate about. But you will never get started if you wait for everything to be perfect. A farmer that waits for perfect weather will never plant. And you can waste your whole life waiting for perfection, only to find out that perfection was never the goal. I want you to remember this. Starting imperfectly is better than never starting. Because as I mentioned, the hourglass has already been flipped. You're not going to gain more time in life. The time you have is the time that you have. And whether you move towards these things you're avoiding or not, the time will pass anyway. And considering the time will pass anyway, I want to encourage you to quit running from the little things. Quit running from the big things. Run towards your purpose. Stop avoiding situations because of fear, and use the gift of today to display your gift and impact others. Always remember that growth is a journey. It's not a destination. I'm in it with you. I'll catch you on the next one.